Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 7 of the Django and React series. And in this episode, we are going to paginate our blogs. We are going to do something like this. Whereby let me turn this to dark mode. So we're gonna have the page 1, we're gonna have page 2. We don't want to list out the old blogs on the own. We don't want to list out we don't want to list out all the blogs at once. We want to paginate them, right? So we are going to cover pagination in this episode. So first thing first, we have to go get our pagination components, and we are getting it from shardcn. I'm gonna say shardcn UI, shardcn UI. Hit enter. So we're on shardcn. Open it. Click on the first link. Okay. Click on components on the navigation. Click on components. And then you can scroll down, you see components here. You'll scroll down till you find pagination. It is arranged in alphabetical order. Yes, here is pagination. Click on it. So you can see how this simple pagination here, is simple. Click on the code, click on it. Yeah. So first thing first, this is the code. And we need to install it. And we run this npx command, right? Okay, now let's run the npx command. Copy this npm back to your code, and let's use us. Okay, paste it here. Enter. So while it is installing, let's create it. While it is installing, let's create a new file in our UI components. I'm going to call this file page pagination. Page pagination.jxx. Hit enter. Right now, I'm going to say refce. Yeah. So right now, I'm going to copy the code for the pagination. So this is quite too big. So copy the code for the pagination. The code is here. Copy it. Paste it here. So we have to copy all these import statements on top. Yeah, so we have our pagination elements now. So right now, let's separate it. So this is the previous button. Let me just separate them. Okay, right now this is active. Going to see. Okay, let me just have. We're going to have only pagination 1 and 2 for now. As for the other ones, I will delete them. Let's see what it looks like. So we're going to add this pagination to our home page, to the home page components. Yeah, just under the block container, we're going to add our pagination. It's called page pagination. Page pagination. Suggested for me. It's not suggesting it. So I'm going to import it. Let's say import page pagination from. That should be in the UI components folder. / page pagination. So back to our browser. Something went wrong. Let's see. Over to page pagination. Refresh the page. I don't know. The browser is taking time to load up. I think let's run the server again, the React server. I'm gonna say npm. I don't like the way it's taking this much time. But let's close the server and let's run it again. Npm run dev. Just hold down your control key and click on the URL. I don't know why my Firefox browser is kind of misbehaving today. So I think let's switch over to Chrome. So it's open on Chrome now. So here's our pagination. So right now, let's give it some padding. Let's see how it looks like in dark mode. Oh, it's not looking good in dark mode, you can see. And it also give it some padding. So we have to also give it some margin and some margin. Back to the pagination now. So back here, I'm gonna just add a class. They're gonna say class name should be equal to. So I'm gonna give it a margin, an horizontal margin of 6. And I'm gonna say in dark mode, we want the text in the pagination to be white. Text should be white, right? So that's it. So our browser. So there's some space now. Dark mode. Okay, it's perfect. So nice now. So okay. So I don't want the ellipses. I don't want this ellipses. So these numbers we have here will be auto generated. So I only need like number 1 or number 2. I'm gonna remove the ellipses. I don't want number 3. Leave 1 and 2 for now. So I think those two are fine. Yeah. So what's the next step now? So what's the next step? So back to our code back to our backend code. So here's our backend code. So first of all, we have to return all our blogs as a whole. So this function, this code is here. This function, this view helps us to return all the blogs we have in our database. So we know right now we no longer want this view. So we are going to switch back to the paginated view. I told you before, the tutorial on this backend API is on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to drop the link to the backend playlist so you can watch it if you want to. So right now, this is going to be the new blog list view you are going to be using. This view is paginated, whereby it returns 3 blogs per page. 3 blogs per page, right? You can always increase the number if you want to. So yeah, so what's the next step now? Over to our front-end code now. So there's going to be a change in our API. We are going to have a least slight change. So over to your services folder in the API block.js file. So our endpoints will change a little, right? So right now our endpoint is going to change to this. So we are going to be expecting an argument called page, right? So then we're going to then have our endpoint is then going to be this. It's going to be blog underscore lists, right? And then we're going to say page should be equal to page, right? So by default the page will be by default the page is going to be 1. So we can always increase the page to page 2, page 3, page 4. It's going to keep on increasing according to the number of page we are supposed to have. So right now this is so right now this is going to be our change in our API in the get blocks function. Back to our home page, there will also be a change, right? There will also be a change in this use query function. Okay, so right now back to our code now. So we're going to go back to React query. Okay, so right now we are going to head over to React query documentation. Just search for React query. I'm sure by now our app should have been broken. That's because our endpoint has changed. Instead, it has changed, right? I can see our app is broken, but it's fine. We'll fix it right away. So over to React query documentation. So click on this, the first link. So on the left panel, scroll down to where you have guides and concepts. And here now, once you're here, just scroll down to where you find paginated queries. Click on it. So as for your paginated queries, what are we doing? So right here, yeah, we have the perfect guide here. Instead, so say better paginated. This is better paginated queries with placeholder data. Right. So we've got the perfect guide here. So you can see in the query key, we have to also append the page. While calling the function, we have to also pass in the page, and we also have to pass this placeholder data should be equal to keep previous data. So we are going to copy this now. We have to import it alongside use query. So back to our front end code now. So let's also, so it's called what placeholder data should be equal to keep previous data. We have to come over to our use query. We have to update it, pass this. It's called keep previous data. And right now we have to declare a state. It's going to say const. Remember, by default, the page is going to be equal to 1. By default, let me make this a bit big. Let's bring this down. By default, page is meant to be equal to 1. I'm going to say set page to 1. I'm going to say use states. By default, the value is 1 by default. Let's import use state from React. Import use states. Yeah, so by default, page is meant to be 1. And here, for our query function, because we are, remember from here now, this is our function, right? And it's expecting the value for, it is expecting a value for page, right? So I'm back to our own page now. So because of, we are going to be calling this function by passing this page, right? So we have to also return a callback. Yeah, because of this, because this function is going to be called, we have to then use a callback for the function. Hope you get. So in the query key, we're also going to pass in the page. This is for paginated data. Hope you understand. We're also passing the page, right? You get. So yeah, so right now I don't think we need to name. Right now we are going to simply leave the name as data, and let's simply console out data. Right. So I think this is what we want to do. Let's set blocks to an empty string. I'm gonna say const block should be equal to an empty array. Right. There was a slight problem. This is what we have now to the browser. Never mind, don't worry. Okay, it's perfect. Let's just clear this. Hit refresh. Okay, so you can see now, from what we have here, we have our data returned. Remember, our data is meant to be the blog. It's meant to be an array of our blogs. But right now, our data is looking quite different because of the pagination. This is the object. Let me bring this smaller. Open the object now. You can see the object has some properties. The first one is count. Count stands for the number of blogs we have in our. It stands for the number of blogs we are getting. Right. The other attribute is called next. It means that the next is trying to point down to the URL to the next page, and that is page 2. Right. I can see the previous. Currently we are on page 1. That's why previous is null. And right now our blogs is in the field called results. This is where our blogs, I can see we only have 3 blogs. You can see on page 1 we only have 3 blogs, right? So back to our code now. So instead of saying data, so right now I'm going to say blogs should be equal to data.results. So we're going to use the optional chaining because the data is not always going to be available, so it needs to be fetched. So that's why we are using optional. That's why we have to use this optional chaining. So I'm going to say data dot. Remember, it's called results. It's the results that holds the blog. The data is the entire object, so it's called results, right? Results. If it is not available, we just return an empty array, right? So this should fix the problem on our page. Right now we're having our blogs back. This time we are having 3 blogs per page yet. We're not done. We're having just 3 blogs. So after we've done that, now we've gotten our blogs, right? So what's the next step? The next step is to know how many pages are we going to have. Remember, we are returning how many blogs? 12 blogs. And we are returning 3 blocks per page. So for it to know, so that means we are meant to have 4 pages, because we are meant to have three blocks per page, and we have 12 blocks in total. So we are meant to have 4 pages. So how do I come about the 4 pages? Is by saying this counts divided by a number of block per page. So back to our code now. I'm going to declare a new state, a new variable. I'm going to say const number of blogs per page should be equal to 3. That's what we set on the back end. They must be equal. What we have on the back end must be equal to what we set on the front end. So we're going to say const number of pages should be equal to, I'm going to say blogs. So it's going to be, data dot count divided by number of blocks per page. And then we are going to round the value up. Sometimes it's going to return a decimal value, so you have to round it up. That's because if you try saying you want to return 5 blocks per page, and we only have 12, right? So that's going to be, we'll have 5 blocks complete in 2 pages. That's 10. What about the remaining 2? The remaining 2 is meant to be on the 3rd page, right? So that's why we have to round up the value, because if we say 12 divided by 5, it's going to be 2 point something. So that point something is meant to be on a separate page. So that's why we have to round up the value up. We're going to say math.ceil. So now, yeah, so if you have a decimal value after in this calculation, math.ceil is going to help us round up the value. So right now we have our number of pages gotten. Let's just simply console it out. Console.log number of pages. So back to browser. This is too big. I'm expecting to see 4 on this. I'm expecting to see 4. Okay, we have 4 there. So it's working perfect. We have 4. So our number of pages is correct now. Yeah, so what's the next step? So we are going to simply pass this number of page as a prop down to this page pagination components. So you have to go receive it there. It's called number of pages. So receive it. Oh, sorry. It's called, let me copy it again. Number of pages. So this number of pages is 4, right? It is 4. So right now, once we return 4 buttons, starting from 1, then 2, 3, 4. Once we return 4 pagination buttons, right? Starting from 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it was 5. We are going to want to return 5 buttons, starting from 1 down to 5. So how do we go about this? So right now, I'm going to just come and say const numbers should be equal to, I'm going to say array dot array.from. I'm going to say length should be equal to number of pages. So what this array.from does is that it's going to simply convert number of pages is equal to 4, right? So it's going to simply convert, it's going to simply create an array of 4 empty values, right? That's what array.from is going to do. It's going to create an array of 4 empty values, right? So right now, what we are going to do is this now. We're going to just simply say, right now I want to get the index of each of the values array.from returns. You understand? So array.from, I said before, it's going to return an array of just 4 empty values. They don't have any value. They're just 4 empty values there. You get? So right now, what we are doing now is this array.from, this first part is what gives us this empty array, but it gives us 4 objects inside. So right now, I want to get the index of each of these. I want to get the index of each of these empty values. Like the first one is 0, the second one is 1. That's their index. The third one is 2, and the third one is 3. These are their index. So I want to get their index and then add 1 to their index. I'm going to say I plus 1. So right now, let's console.log numbers and see what numbers. I'm going to say console.log numbers. So we are expecting to see an array consisting of 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. It's the browser. Perfect. You can see we got an array 1, 2, 3, 4. So right now we've gotten the array right. So we're going to simply what we're going to do. It's simple. We're going to simply map through the array to get these buttons, right? So that's what we are going to do. So I'll simply remove this. This is active will be needed. We'll need this is active. Let me just put it here. So right now I'm going to simply generate. It's going to say over here. Just say numbers dot map. I will say num. I'll just copy this, cut it and paste in there. So you have to pass in the key prop. I'm going to say key should be equal to num. Remember, the key prop is meant to get a unique value. So we've got that already. And as for this number, this one we have here, it's going to be simply number, num, right? So that's what we need to do. So back to our code, and I can see now we've got this. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4. But all of them, all 3 of them are all active. That's wrong. So we are going to work on that active class right away. So we are going to simply do what? So how do we know which of the button is active? How do we know which page we are on? That should be when this page value we have here, when the page value we have up here is equal to this number. It's equal to this number we mapped through. This number. That's when we know. That's when we are going to know the active page we're currently on. Right? So that's what we are going to do. So remember, this page is currently having a value of 1 at the moment. 1. So how do we increase it? So we're going to create a function here. I'm going to just say, let me just say function. Let's say undo. Let's say undo set page. So it's going to be expecting a value. I'm going to say set page should be equal to the value. Yeah. They are going to pass this as a prop over to the page number, to the page pagination. We have to receive it there. And whenever we click on any of those buttons, we want to simply update our page. So you're going to just come over here and say on click should be equal to, I'm going to say undo, it's called undo set page. And then we'll pass in this number. Yeah, so that's how we are going to simply update the value of the page. And now what we are going to do is this now. We are going to simply come over here and say, if number is equal to page, we want to have the active page link. Else, we want to simply have the one that is not active, the number one. We're going to remove this active class. Right, let's save it. Okay, right now it says page is not defined. So we have to also pass page as a prop to the page pagination. We have to receive it. So we've done that now. I think it should be fine now. So there's no problem again. So back to the page now. Because we currently have page one as the active. We currently have page one as the active button. Right? Everything should be working fine now. So if I click on page two, this page we have here, this number we have here, this page value is going to get updated. This page value is going to get updated. And if it gets updated, remember we are passing the page value to this function. And the function, this get blocks function is using this page to fetch the blog based on their page, right? That's what we are doing here. So once the value, so right now, if I come over here now, if you just watch now, currently the first value here is saying understanding the virtual DOM. If I click on page two, it should change. Right now it's saying CSS grid. Click on page three. Right now it's saying JavaScript focus. You can see now our pagination is working perfectly. But what was the next thing now? We want to also make these buttons interactive. Whereby I want to make sure that if you're on page one, I don't want this button to be visible. If you're on page four, we want to make sure the next button is not also visible. So let's work on that now. Back to the page number, page pagination. I'm going to say first, I'm going to say const first number should be equal to numbers, then the numbers, then square bracket 0. That's to get the first value in an array. And as for the last, I'm going to say const last number should be equal to numbers, then we're trying to get the index of the last value. That's going to be numbers.length minus 1. So this is going to give us the last number, const last number. I think I spelled const, not const. So right now I'm going to check if page is equal to first number. I want to simply remove the previous button. So here is the previous button. So I'm going to just wrap this around the curly braces. I'll say if, just up here, I'll say if page is equal to the first number, I'm going to simply remove the previous button. So if this is true, this right side will be neglected, to be ignored. So it's not going to be displayed if the left side is true. So over to the next button, if page is equal to last number, I'll do the same thing. I'm going to say if page is equal to last number, I'm going to simply do the same thing. I'm going to simply neglect the right side. So let's try it now. So currently, you can see we are currently on number 4. The last number is out. We are number 2 or number 3 now is back. Number 2, it's fine. Number 1, the previous button is gone. And now I want to also make sure that this next button can also increase the value of our page. If I click on next, I want to be able to come down to page 2, page 3, page 4, you understand? So if I click on previous, I want to be able to come down from page 4 down to page 3 to page 2 to page 1. So let's work on that now. So we are going to have in our home page, we are going to simply create a function. I'm going to say function increase. It's called increase page value. They're going to say set page. I will say the current value of page. They're going to say we're going to increase the current value of page by 1. As for the other function, it's going to be, let's just copy this. It's going to be called decrease page value. Decrease page value. So instead of adding 1, we are going to simply subtract 1. So pass this to as a prop down to the page pagination components. And also pass this one, the decrease value. Pass it here. So you have to also receive these two props in the page pagination. It's called decrease and also increase page value. So just Control X to format your code properly. So now whenever we click on the previous button, I want to simply call the decrease function. Over here, I'll just simply just say on click. As for the next button, I want to call the increase function. Over here, I'll just simply say on click. Let's see what we've done so far. So currently on page 2, click on next. I want to come down to page 3. Next. I'm on page 3. If I click on next, currently on page 4 and the button has disappeared. If you click on previous, now on page 3, click on previous, page 2. If I click on previous again, now I'm on page 1 and the button has disappeared. So right now we just finished paginating our blogs, the home page. It has been paginated. I know this was quite hectic. Don't worry, the source code is in the video description. So in the next video, we are going to work on the detail page, whereby if you click on a particular blog, want to go down to the blogs detail page. We are going to work on that next. So see you in the next video.